And he put it into the court, and he said it was funny when they walk into the court, you could hear Brian Bonner being interviewed by Gus. And he says, the judge says to the clerk, hey, they called the Brian first. You know, very first, he says, I always go near the end of the day. He says, because I'm no attorney. He says, hey, the judge yells to the clerk, the bailiff, hey, guess what? We got a man in court. He says, when was the last time we had a man in court? Was it like 1991 or 1989? We got a man in the court. He said, this is going to be fun. Because Brian was basically asking the prosecutor, just claim the debt is true and I'll pay what's due with the note. And the younger prosecutor said, the older prosecutor, when Brian handed it to him, he said, you got to answer those? He said, the prosecutor's like, we'll soon find out. So the prosecutor says, well, Mr. Bonner, I see that you have a lovely notice before the court today. Would you like to prosecute your notice? He's like, what? And the prosecutor jumped up and said, the prosecutor would require the leave of the court request leave of the court for 30 days, and so we could properly answer this very important document that we've just been handed at the very last moment. And the judge said, you just hold on a second. Mr. Bonner, would you like to prosecute? He's like, what? Would you like to prosecute the prosecutor? Would you like to put the prosecutor on a stand and prosecute him? And he's like, nah, he's been a pretty good prosecutor to me for the last, 6 months. He seems, if he needs 30 days, I'll give him 30 days. Because Brian said he didn't realize what the judge was asking him. Would you like to prosecute the prosecutor? I would have loved that opportunity. Oh, really? I get to put him on. This is good. He's been moving this case throughout the last 6 months against me, and now I get to tell him to take that damn stand and prove that every damn thing on this piece of paper that he's been pursuing me for the last 6 months and harassing me and harming me and injuring me and loss. And you better believe I want to get him on the stand and swear that all this nonsense is true. But Paul Bryan didn't know what to do. But eventually the case was discharged and everything was dropped. And
once in a blue moon, you'll get a judge that'll do that.
But what I'm saying is the judge actually said to the bailiff, hey, we got a man here. When was the last time we had something filed by a man in our court? The judges are waiting for a man to appear. He said, what was it, 89, 91? Because none of you people are putting paperwork into the court, addressing the court, and explaining to the court that you're appearing as a man. So the judges are just waiting, and when they do, they love it. They go, oh, my God, we got a man. Finally, after all these freaking years, I didn't think I was going to see it again at my time on the bench. This is going to be fun. We got a man. We got our creator here. So they know what's going.
There are people on the chat that are asking if you would get back on track with going over Dean's case.
Well, it's what Dean wants to do, because this is Dean's. So whatever Dean wants to do, I don't care.
Oh, hey, yeah, no, we tend to people like us tend to rant and get off track all the time and go off on our rambling.
Yeah, me and Billy thought about it last year.
That's actually one of the things that I did notice. We did put a notice in like that a bunch of times right at the very beginning, and they just did not care about it at all. They're kind of a lot of times I'm finding, especially with myself, it was made very clear to me that they don't like the rising popularity of this movement in Canada. They really wanted to smash me down, people from following in my footsteps. So people should not worry about what was done to me, thinking it's going to happen to them as well. It's a very extreme case where they just didn't want the publicity anymore, and more and more people walking into the courts and doing this kind of stuff. But eventually, when we did get into to a superior court in front of a superior judge and got one of the notices and letting them know, like, hey, no, I'm a man, I'm not playing your game anymore, blah, 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 I was out 3 days later. So with no cash bail, terms and conditions here until I get the rest of the charges discharged, because I think we're down to I'm 24 for 27 right now, fighting this on my own out of jail, and so 24 wins. They convicted me of 3 things, including seatbelt and stuff like that. We had notices in, basically. Wow, I don't even know where to go with all this. So there's a lot of stuff going on that would take a long time to explain. I got updates on the internet out there, but Carl's absolutely right that's the only argument people should ever be making, and it's not even really an argument. It's making the statement, no, this is who I am, and this is the jurisdiction I'm coming in under, and everything else is irrelevant. And it is
let me ask you a simple question, Dean. Because 2 of my friends became judges, and we were pretty good friends. And how long do you think it takes for, once a judge becomes like appointed or elected into being a judge, how long their training is?
I've heard differing things on this, and I've been told it's as little as a couple of weeks.
Okay, well, my friend, when he became a judge, it was funny. He said to me, he says, Carl, I won't be able to do barbecue with you this week on Thursday. He said, why? He said, because I'm the judge now. He says, oh. I said, what does that mean? He says, I got to go to training in Montgomery, Alabama. I said, well, how long is the training for? He says 3 days, but it might last 4 days. And he said, I might want to sleep over. I might be tired. So he says it takes 3 days to train us how to be a judge. So this is what I'm trying to tell you guys. I have a buddy who's a judge, 2 guys who turned into judges. And they show me this, how simple is this. And you guys are making it so freaking complicated. There's always certain things they're looking for. They're taught, like I said, and to be a judge in the United States, you don't have to be an attorney. I could be a judge. You could have a funny name like George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and you want to be a judge. And you could be an ice cream salesman your whole freaking life. And believe me, people will vote for you to be the judge. It takes 3 days to train you. It's very simple.
A little bit different here in Canada.
Well, what I'm saying is, I'm sure the judges aren't that super incompetent in the United States compared to Canada. You see what I'm saying? I'm sure they aren't ridiculously incompetent. Like we got some ridiculous, 3-day court judges, and you guys got 3 30-year court judges. I don't think the competency level, because like I said, they are looking for such little, there's not that much they're looking for when you will come before the court. Are you a defendant? Are you a person? Are you a man? What are you? There's very few things they're looking for.
Yep.
And they're waiting for you. They're waiting for the man to appear.
99%
but if you're
what's going on is a show that's being put on that has almost absolutely no relevance of any kind to it, just to make you believe something is actually going on in that courtroom. Yeah.
That's because you're not leading them, you're not telling them, you're not informing them, you're not telling them, say, hey, look, wait a second, is the Dean Clifford the person whom this court seeks, or is it the man? Which one is it? It would have been over.
Well,
it would have been
again,
simple.
Even the word person is inclusive of a man. You want
a
If
person
you want
is
to
a
use the
man.
word person, you might want to let them know what kind of a person you are.
Right, a person is a man within a society, and according to his rank or his status, he has certain duties and obligations to that society in which that society may impose.
Yes.
If he's derelict in his duty. Yes, a person is a man.
A person is any being capable of having rights and duties.
Right, but like I said, within a certain society. Now, is the legal society calling me forth? Is the Crown Society calling me forth? Ah, great. You know what? I'm not a person within your society. Yay, I get to go. I'm not a person within your Boy Scout society. You can't take away my merit badges. Why? Because I don't freaking got none.
Yep, so if people don't like the word person, fine. Just and actually, I suggest they don't use that word anyway. It's man, because there's no room for error. You can't.
Well, what I'm saying was saying the Boy Scouts say I'm not a person within a Boy Scout society, so you can't take away my merit badges. Yay, guess what? I'm not a legal person, so you can't take away my legal rights. Why? Because I don't have any freaking legal rights. Because I'm not a person within a legal society, like I'm not a person in the Boy Scout society, so you can't take away my Boy Scout rights, my Boy Scout. I don't have none.
And I got into that with them, both not being a member of their democratic society, having nothing to do with their society. All that stuff is on the record. I got into all that stuff with them. It's ad nauseum garbage. I don't really give a shit about ever making those arguments ever again anymore now anyways. But they really don't like people figuring that out.
Yeah. Well, the big thing is you've got to get them to understand when you first walk through that court, you're a man. And there's certain words that you could use that they can't use and they can't answer to.
Yep.
And they're stuck.
Yep.
I'm
here as a man. I'm present as a man. I will not plead into a fictional law. I am not illegal. I will not act for a legal person. All of that. All that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So,
but you're more than glad to answer to any other man.
Yep.
See, that's what you like I said. It's just all. First, what you're saying is negative, but then you got to throw a positive. But I'm more than glad to answer to any wrong that's done to my fellow man. May that man appear at this time. I wish for that man to appear at this time.
What's coming up next? What's coming up next, Dean? Do you have a trial coming up, or what?
Well,
what do you have planned?
As of May 12th, I've got another pre-trial now, which will be 18 months into this appeal. I have another pre-trial where the judge in the matter has given me 3 hours to come in and to basically give my facts and evidence to have the entire matter dismissed. Which is where I think we're at right now, based on the notices that I put in that got me the bail pretty immediately. So I think what this all boils down to is they just wanted to lock me up in jail for a little while, and they were eventually going to let me out. I think they knew they didn't have a hope in hell of prosecuting, but it's just to get me in jail for a little while and to really scare people into wanting to try to make the same arguments when they go to court. So that's what I got planned. I'm going back to court on May 12th. as it stands right now, they still have a trial booked for 11 more outstanding charges. I think that's going to bring the total up to about 36 I've been up against in the last 20 months or the last 2 years, and again, so I don't expect it's going to make it to trial, and I really don't. Yeah, I'm just boy, there's so much to talk about. Where to even start with all this? So that's where things are at. Like I said, there's 11 charges left of the original 26. They've added a few. They've lost pretty much every single one of them, including in Brandon, and that's probably what Karl would find most interesting is the 2 charges they had me up against in Brandon, Manitoba for uttering threats apparently over the jail phones while I was in prison that time. They couldn't apparently they couldn't identify the accused in the courtroom, so they had to discharge everything because the Crown failed to actually identify the accused, even though I was sitting there the entire time. Apparently they couldn't identify me because the accused was a legal person and they had a man standing in the courtroom. So they couldn't link the two together, and they had to dismiss everything. But they tried to make it sound like there was some kind of a failure in the Crown's case against me, and because it's just preposterous, the stuff they had to get onto the record to make it look like there was some failure in the Crown's case, in the Crown's prosecution of the case. Whereas if you're a man and they're coming after a legal person, well, those are two completely separate things. They can't prosecute you, they can't convict you, they can't find you guilty, they can't give you a fine, they can't give you jail time, they can't do anything. They can't create the joinder necessary to give you the sentence. This is no different than what happened in Brandon all those years ago when there was 11 charges back then that I beat. And well, if you want, I beat them, but because they convicted me guilty on every single count and then discharged everything immediately on the spot. I walked out without paying even $1 in fines for stuff that should have seen me in jail for 2 years. And they did that just to protect the record and just to say, oh no, look, he was still convicted, but we discharged everything on the spot so that it doesn't even show up on the records anymore. There's no records of that entire hearing ever having happened. So they're still doing what they can to try to protect their little scam, their little con they got going on, and not making it look as though we're actually winning at this stuff. So they're trying to keep the transcripts still to show that this system has legitimacy. And what do I have planned? Well, I don't know. I'm tired. I've been on about 20 shows since I've been out in the last month. Every night or every second night, I've been doing an interview here lately. I'm certainly not out of the game, and I'm certainly not going to become reclusive and hide. And I'm not scared of these people. And they didn't mess me up after 16 months of jail. I'm not scared, and I'm back, and I'm bigger and better than ever before. And with people like Karl and everybody else that I'm talking to around the world right now, we're just all getting bigger and better and growing as a movement and being more public and getting out there and showing people that they shouldn't have the fear that they have. And I'm happy to say that after 16 months, I think this movement, the truth movement, is bigger and better than it ever has been ever before. So I'm happy to be back out and a part of it, and I think people are going to see some fantastic things coming.
Good. I'm glad you're out. I'm so happy with what's going on in the world, the waking up that's taking place. I hope it hurries up and gets to that critical mass point so we can make changes. So you said your trial is when?
Well, they've got something scheduled for June, so a few months from now. And I don't, like I say, I think that after this, if anything, if I can't get this all discharged at the pretrial coming up on May 12th, I'm going to have that pushed off because there's even according to their own laws, it's impossible for me to have a fair trial at this point when they kept me locked up for 16 months. And I simply brought that up in my bail hearing too, where I said, if you guys actually want to have a fair hearing, I hope you're prepared to throw the Crown Attorney in jail for the next 16 months to prepare their case, because if you don't, we don't have a fair trial, and I'm just going to go for a miscarriage of justice on the spot. Mm-hmm. So they didn't seem to like that a whole lot either. It's impossible to have a fair trial when they lock you up in prison for 16 months and try to get you to defend yourself against a team of lawyers who are not locked up in prison. I can't think of anything more unfair, in fact. So we'll see. Maybe I'll just have that trial pushed off for 16 months and just deal with it in the meantime and just have some more hearings. And I got some prosecutions planned against them. I actually tried from in prison. I actually had a couple of private prosecutions filed. Court dates were set. They brought me in for 3 different court dates, but without the facilities to be able to prepare anything, I just wasn't able to do anything in the courtroom. I just said I stayed my own prosecution until I got out and I could actually pursue things.
It's really hard to hear you. It sounds like you're a million miles away, which you probably are.
Not really sure why. I'm on a home phone here, and it's I got the volume.
I hear him fine. I hear him fine, Ange.
Right into it here.
Yeah, people on the chat here are saying for you to speak up, and you sound very, very tinny to me, like you're really far away.
Yeah, he's super clear.
I don't know. It might be this phone. I don't know. I've been doing most of my interviews on Skype and everything. That's been working really well. This is the first time I've used a home phone. So.
Well, Dean, let me give you a little hint here with something that you just said about miscarriage of justice, right? You remember when you just said something about miscarriage of justice?
Yep.
Okay, that's a term of art. Okay, so it's what you're doing by turning back to them a term of art. You're showing that there's joy in it, that there is some sort of a meeting of the minds between you and the legal society. What I recommend that people do is, I said, not only do I believe that it would be unfair and unjust, I believe your legal society would call it a miscarriage of justice. See, you're separating yourself. You say, I would believe, because only man has the capacity to believe, that your legal society would refer to it as miscarriage of justice.
Yeah, that's what people call it.
Right, that's not what normal people would call it. People would just say, that's not fair, that's not just. The legal society would call it a miscarriage of justice. 99% of the people would not know what miscarriage of justice means. Miscarriage, what does that mean? I don't know. Well, but they would definitely know that's not fair. That's not just.
It's most certainly a very important word, and that's why it's the first four letters of the word justice.
Well, what I'm trying to say is you're speaking like a lawyer. You're speaking like an attorney. You're showing that there is cognizance. There is an understanding. You do have some sort of knowledge of legal. So I'm just trying to explain to people what the judge in England said to the man. If you want to play the common law game, use one-syllable words. Talk very simply. Just say that would not be fair. That would not be just. Not only do I believe that would be not fair, but I believe that within the legal society, it would be deemed a miscarriage of justice.
Yep.
Because deemed is a huge word, too. So if you go look at the word deemed, you see what I just said.
You know how hard it is for and I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about, Carl. It's actually hard to dumb yourself down. It's actually the hardest thing there is to do.
It took me years. To dumb down. Years. It's an art, dude. It's a freaking art to dumb down. I mean, that's why I said I'm journeying
through 15 years, and you're just used to using bigger words when you speak, just normally as it is now. Anyways, it's actually tougher to dumb yourself down and go right back to just using simple words.
Right. Well, like I said, I'm very fortunate. I'm from the German culture, so we minimize everything. We try to mini everything. So it's like, can we do it in 3 moves instead of 4? Can we? We'll spend a lifetime just learning how to minimize it, just to make it quick and faster and easier. It took us a whole freaking life to do it. But for the next guy who comes behind us, hopefully they'll be able to just get through this in 2 seconds and get on to something more important.
Yep. No, I completely agree with that. It's the better results I got was from just sending less and less words in on smaller and smaller notices every single time.
Oh, yeah, because I said that to your brother. It was funny. He said, well, look what happened to Dean. He put something with line paper, and the court wouldn't accept line paper. So then they wanted us to put blank paper, and so my brother had to run around and find blank paper, and like he couldn't get blank paper. I said, you know what would be super funny, because this is as it was happening. I said, what happened if your brother put blank paper into the court, and he wrote his notices or wrote his motions in blank paper? And the judge said, no, line paper isn't acceptable if it's horizontal. We want line paper that's vertical. I said, they're just going to mess with you, brother. If he could do it on horizontal paper, he could do it on blank paper, and he comes in with blank paper now with no lines. Now they say, no, we want – no, you misunderstood us. It's not that we didn't want line paper. We just didn't want horizontally lined paper. We wanted vertical. And then the next thing, you're going to do vertical paper. You're going to chase down that stupid rabbit hole. And they're going to say, no, we want it like the Jewish way. We want it right to left instead of left to right. Your brother's – he's just got to write it right to left.
How much they were messing around with us. They knew I was in jail. They know I can't do anything. And they knew that when I finally was able to get my stuff out to somebody to take to the courthouse and file it, all the clerks had to do is say, no, we're not accepting this. And what do you do? You can't. We've caused such a shitstorm down there. We even had people go to the Attorney General's office here in Manitoba and say, what the fuck is going on at your courthouse? These clerks are absolutely obstructing. They're not taking our paperwork at all. We got a guy sitting in jail who they will not accept his paperwork from. We can't get a hearing. we can't do anything, so he's just sitting there. Like, is that the whole point of what you guys are doing? Is that the message you're sending us? You just want him to sit there for a while? Because it was all complete bullshit.
I got an interesting question for you. Did you try to ever send anything through the mail, and then they interfered with the ability for the mail to be processed?
Yep. We
okay.
had registered mail returned, opened, and resealed.
So, but they didn't interfere with the mail process actually going from point A to point B.
Not that I'm aware of, other than it being
okay.
returned.
It was just the people on the other side rejected it, but the mail process went through.
Mail process, as far as we know, went through.
Okay, that's one question. I was wondering if they actually interfered with the mailing process, but it's just the other side didn't accept it at that time. Okay.
Well, yeah, but you can't not accept registered mail. It's time for the registered mail. They open it, they see what's in it, then they seal it back up and return it. Like that's.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I said, it's just like I said. It's to me, it was like okay, he thinks this is, like say you send somebody a gift registered. It's like you know what. I just can't accept, you sent me, 3 elephants, and I just don't have the facilities to maintain 3 elephants on my property, so I'm going to have to return them, even though you sent them registered, and it's a lovely gift.
Yeah.
So like I said, I could see them return things. Right.
But be accepting our paperwork, and they've denied you complete effective access to justice and to remedy a law when they start doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, but like I said, did you ever open up the Clifford court?
Well, that's another matter altogether. That I have not gotten into a lot of that kind of stuff yet. Okay, well that's what Jessie had to do to get her 4 kids back. She had to open up to Jessie court. She had to open up the Arsenal court. Yeah.
And it was funny. Like I said, when she went down there, she explained on like a Thursday show I had. And I do just on a Saturday, but she goes on and she says. She said it was wild. She said the clerk told the head court clerk went and got the judge. He said the judge has always been treating us like crap for the last 5 months, and then but the judge brings us into his chambers and he tells the clerk to go get us lemonade, and he was really nice to us. And he said, look, we just don't appreciate that you calling it the Arsenal court. This is the court that you're in is called Queen's Bench. And this is how we refer to it around here. Everybody here knows it's Queen's Bench, not your court. And then he also said to them, he said, look, if can you do us a favor? They said, and this was funny because it came from Canada. The judge said, can you get rid of this word property? And can you put children in? Because, Lincoln freed the slaves. And what does American history slaves have to do with property and children is beyond me. But he said the judge made a real like sourpuss face and said, we really, it's not funny, it's not cute that you call children property, so can we bring this back to children? And it's funny, she called me up on the phone at like 3:30 in the afternoon, and she says, oh, wow, Colin, we got to meet the head judge, and you should have seen these court clerks running around like crazy, and it was just these 2 sentences, oh, my God, and it was so much fun, and we got to have lemonade with the judge. And I said, then what happened? He said, well, all they asked was to change it from children of property. And I said, what'd you do? So I changed it. I said, I started cursing out like a drunk sailor. Get your effing ass, get changed. I said, if you don't do this, don't ever talk to me again. She says, it's 3:30 in the afternoon. She says, do you know how much fuel it costs us to go back down to St. John to do this? She says, it's like an hour and a half away. I said, you better hammer it and get down there. Don't you ever effing talk to me ever again. I said, don't try to outguess what I'm doing. Can you just put the way I wrote it, can you just let it ride? Well, the clerks went ahead and actually changed my paperwork. They did HUS. They changed HUS, and I actually have it I have a copy of it on the internet where the clerk actually circled the words and crossed them out and put the recommendations of what they would accept. Yeah, well, that's what they did to me, but it wasn't a recommendation. They just wrote in what they wanted. Right, but that's what I'm saying. So that's a trespass on the Arsenal court. That's a trespass on the case. So you better believe we wrote a hell of a letter back, and we said we got proof that Susie just trespassed on my case, on my property, and we're going to hold Susie liable. Yep. Thank you, Susie. So like I said, they let the paperwork go in and they let it slide. But it was so funny when Jessie said that to me on the phone at 3:30. She said, I don't want to go all the way back, and the judge loved me now, and da-da-da. She said, fine, I'll just do it your damn way, fine. And she came here.
To get you to change that paperwork and say what they wanted to say.
Yeah, but it was funny. The lady I was helping, Jessie, gave me an attitude. She's like, no, we're finally getting along with the clerks, finally getting along with the judge. All we have to do is change the word from children to property to children, and now we're in. I was like, no, they're going to kill you. They're going to crucify your friends. I am effing telling you. You better leave that paperwork the way I put it. You know, I'm telling you, they have jurisdiction and control over children. They don't have jurisdiction and control over property. Only man does.
Yeah, because then they can operate in the presumption that you mean child under a certain act or statute where it's clearly defined as.
Right. So I said I said it was required immediate return of property. See Exhibit A, B, C, D. I put 4 photographs. Has anybody seen my property? Return it immediately.
Yep.
That's it. No children, nothing Susie, Bobby, Billy. No. It's none of their damn business. That's your names that you gave your kids, and you don't give your name away to anybody, especially your children. So it was a lot of fun. But like I said, if you can, I know you have to dumb down. I know it's tough, but you know you're a smart guy. I know you're a smart guy, but you got to dumb it down.
Isn't it interesting that whenever you ask them a question, they'll tell you they can't give you legal advice, but when you're doing something right, all of a sudden they're just full of legal advice, and they'll tell you exactly what to do and what to write here and how to change this.
But what I'm saying, if you break down words from miscarriage of justice to simple words, you'll like me. I've got letters from Japan. It's ridiculous. Guy rolled it up. He put rope around it. He sealed it with wax. I gave it to Gus. I said, Gus, can you read this? I said, I can't read it. He said, I can't read it either. But like I said, I must talk in such a simple level that even a man who's writing to me from Japan telling me he loves what I do, and he draws pictures of the diagrams I put on my show, the pyramids and stuff like that, and he's getting it. But he barely speaks English. You can see he's barely literate in English. But I'm not using legalese words. So people are actually getting this over in Malaysia, Japan, because I'm drawing pictures and I'm using very, very simple English words. And that gets the communication across a lot quicker, because a lot of people that listen to me, are very learned. They've been studying the law for many, many years. They're probably better than 90% of the attorneys who appear in courts against them. But that's not a big crowd. That's not 90% of Canada. That's not, 90% of the United States is. It's not, So to me, I've seen that it seems to work no matter where I go. If you look at my website, you can't believe the people who show up my show there. Black, white, gay, old, Indians, it's ridiculous, the people who show up my show. It's not free men, it's not white guys.
And every time they're trying to get you to change what you're saying, or they're just ignoring you and they're continuing on. What's big on this as well, I know, is they getting it on the record 3 times when you're saying stuff 3 times. And people should know that this goes back to the law merchants and the courts, where the first time is considered a mistake, the second time is considered a coincidence, and by the third time you're saying something, it's a pattern. It means you mean it. It's not a mistake. It wasn't a coincidence. Oh, he really means it this time, because the third time he said it, bro. Yep.
Well, how I know that it's true is because my sister asked my family to give her $20,000 for a retaining fee, and you didn't do anything wrong. So you don't just go to court. And I said, the judge is going to ask you, they're going to introduce everybody. They're going to introduce the moving party, which is then the ex-husband. I said, and all you do is, I said, you make a very simple, exhibit of everything that he's done wrong to you over the years, but your claim is going to be very simple. Now, when you introduce yourself to the court, I said, all you say is, I, Karen, her last name, and now present of court. I lie my case before the court. And the judge is going to say, who's my attorney? And she said, and I said, just say, I, Karen, her last name, I'm now present of court. I lie my case before the court. And the judge said, well, this is going to be very complicated in my last months, and, are you sure you're not seeking legal counsel because your husband over here has got, 3 attorneys? And he said, I, Karen Garner, I'm now present of court. I lie my case before the court. And the judge said, duly noted. And that was it. The judge said, duly noted. So she moved her claim before the court, said what he did wrong. And as soon as the attorney for the other side, they said, now, you're done with your case? Yes. Okay, now, for the other side. The other side, the woman stood up. And my sister said, I object. And the judge was like, wait a second. You presented your case to court. They can't present theirs? And my sister said, does that woman unless my husband had a sex change, is like, that sounds like a woman. It's like, yeah, that's the attorney. She introduced herself in the beginning. It's like, yeah. Does she have any firsthand knowledge of anything that she's going to testify today in court? Does she have any firsthand knowledge of any transaction? that, transpired over the 20-year relationship between I and that man? And the judge said, that's a very good question. Let's ask. He said, do you have any first-hand knowledge of any transaction that transpired over the 20-year relationship between that man and a woman? She said, no. The judge said, well, then sit down. And then the attorney said, but, Your Honor. And the judge said, now sit down and shut up. So, yeah, this three-thing thing is true.
Yep.
But the judge asked the 3 points.
That's another excellent point about the fact these people don't have first-hand knowledge of anything, and we never object to that. We never ask them about that. Excuse me, do you have any first-hand knowledge of anything that you've claimed in this court? Anything that you've said in this court? Anything you brought to this court? Do you have any first-hand knowledge of it? And they don't. That's all you have to ask.
So then, judge would not be deemed hearsay and speculation, which would not make itself available for appellate review. And the judge would have to say, he's right.
Yep. And I don't see a particular problem with using the word hearsay. I don't think that that's an issue.
Yeah, it's not.
Legalese-ish.
Yeah, most people know what the word hearsay means in the United States. Most people know what that means. It's not a term of art that most people will understand. It's like, you know what hearsay means? So speculation or conjecture. You know what that word means? You're like, yeah, most people would know.
But if you have no problem with these people just continuing to spew a bunch of hearsay, then the court can't do anything until you're the one that objects to it.
Right. If you're not objecting, they're just going to keep going. Why not? Let's keep playing the game.
You must be okay with it, and if you're okay with it, then the court has to be okay with it.
Right. It's billable hours, and if you don't know the rules, it's your fault for coming into a game that you don't know the rules.
Yep.
Instead of just walking
into the chains, but that's not a matter altogether.
Instead of just walking into the court since day one and just saying, I'm an idiot. I have an idiot, like I said, it's a Greek word that just says outside stranger, somebody who has no qualifications within a certain profession. That's all. It has absolutely nothing to do with competency when it comes to general knowledge like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I don't have any terms of art of, like a brain surgeon. Like I say to people all the time, I said if I'm a brain surgeon, and if I hear two brain surgeons opening up my head and they say, give me the Massey, and the Massey is like the number one driver in golf. It's the big wood. Hand me the Massey. They'll say, this guy's going to hit me in the head with a golf club. And I'll start freaking out. Say, you going to hit me in the head with a golf club? It's like, no, we just call it this little tiny hammer, but it happens to be the biggest hammer. We call it the Massey. We call it we call it the driver, the Massey. It's like, oh, geez, I thought you were going to smash my head with a golf club. So we're just confused because they're using terms of art in which we're not competent. So we're complete idiots. So you know what? Why don't you just leave the brain surgeons alone? Stay away from the brain surgeons. Let them play their game. Let them do what they got to do. They're very good at it. But I'm a man. Just sit back and let them do their thing.
Same words, different meanings. The same words we use have different meanings in the jurisdiction trying to get us to come in. So they assume that we're using the definition of the word that they are using because we don't think it's the contract.
Right. What society you're in, and what society you're in uses different languages in terms of art. And so like I said, it's what personage. Where are you from?
Well, just the fact that you've been charged with something, or you're there under some charge that falls under an act or statute, is enough to presume you're a member of that society, and that's why that has to be rebutted.
Right. Well, like I said, or like the man I did over in the man in Quebec who got all his birds back, millions of dollars worth of illegal birds back, just by saying, okay, you know what? I totally accept the fact that within your society, I've done something wrong. Yeah, great. You know what? That's fine. But you know what? I'm a man and I require my property back. So Boy Scouts, it's nice that you found me, that I did something wrong in your little Boy Scout jamboree thing. The only problem is I still want my property back.
Yep, that was brought up at one of my bail hearings almost a year before I got out, about 9 months before I got out, I think, on the bail finally, where one of the lawyers for Her Majesty there actually said that they're opposed to Mr. Clifford being released back into society. And I stood up and said, no. I do not want to be released into your society. I am not a part of your society in the first place. I don't want to be released into your society. I just want to go right now. I want nothing to do with your society. So that's how they try to portray all that stuff in the courtroom. Oh, he can't be released back into our society. Okay, good. I don't want to be in your fucking society. Good.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the same thing happened over in England. It was funny. I was running the court, on the common law side, and the Crown obviously was running, the Crown Court on their side. And it was so funny. The judge made a very simple, everyday, normal statement that you would hear in an open court. When it was our turn to go, the judge said to our side, do you want me to call your witness on the stand? And I was always supposed to speak slowly so the Punjabi man could actually put the words into the court. I was supposed to whisper in his ear, but the Punjabi said yes. And I jumped up and I said, no, I require, I said, I want of no man, because want means for a beggar. Like, yes, mommy, I want a lollipop. Mommy could deny you. So the judge said, do you want me to place your witness on a stand? And he said, yes. I said, no, I want of no man. I said, God provides all. We require of you to not be derelict in your duty. Perform your function that you've been presented to this court. Place my witness on a stand. Recuse yourself, and I will place my witness on a stand. So the judge said, witness, take the stand. But it's certain words that they use that they could deny you, because they said, do you want what, bake? You think you're my mommy? You think you have some sort of right to tell me no?
Yep.
This is my case. This is my trial. I don't want, no. I require of you, because require means by authority and by right. No, I require of you to place my witness on the stand. Do your job.
Yep.
Do your function to this court. Provide the service in which you're employed. Or recuse yourself, and I'll get somebody else in here. I'll place my witness on the stand.
The authority flows from you.
Right. I don't want nothing from you. But see, that's what's funny. People weren't taught by their mom and dad simple words like want. You don't want nothing from no man. Like my dad would say that to me all the time. You don't want nothing from any man. God provides all. You provide for it. But if somebody gives you something, you got to get. Now you're in debt to this guy.
Well, it's like people that are asking for their property back by saying, I would like to be released, or I would like my property back. Well, we'd all like all sorts of things.
Right. Yeah. I like sunshines and rainbows too, but that ain't going to happen.
Yeah, but a requirement is a command.
Right. It's by authority and by right. See, because judges don't have rights. They have duties, obligations, and responsibilities. They don't have rights. Once they put on that cloak, their rights stand out the door until they put on their man costume. And like I say to people, a judge is a man 168 hours a week. Every single day he is a man. He only acts part-time as a judge, maybe 40 hours a week. He's a part-time judge, but he's always a man. He always has a duty and obligation to cause no harm to his fellow man. But if you don't present the man to the judge, he has no duty and obligation to a defendant. His duty not just to a defendant is to help beat the snot out of him.
Yep.
Defendants curl up in a ball and take a beating.
Yep.
The defendants don't prosecute.
If you're okay with being recognized as the class of person that you've been brought there as, then you're sunk. You have no rights.
That's right, and which is what you should. Like I said, because why would you want street thugs to just be walking? If it was that easy, why would you just want everybody just to be walking out of the courtroom thinking this is funny? I'm going to go punch another guy in the nose. I'm going to go to court and say, "Forgive me as I trespassed, thy brother. Hand me thy debt. Oh, $9,000 for a broken nose. I'll gladly pay you $1 a year for the next 9,000 years." Why would you want some street thugs to know this nonsense, to know this stuff? Why? I wouldn't. I don't want just the common, person to know this. I want a man to know this. I want people who are worthy of this knowledge to know it. I don't want everybody on planet Earth to say, "Wow, is that all we have to do? Be like Jesus and just, we could slaughter people and they're just going to say, okay, I forgive you, turn the other cheek." No, because people are going to take advantage of that.
Well, and all it has to take is for an actual man to show up in court and bring a proper claim. It's not, So,
yeah, but that's good. I'm glad that the judge. I'm glad that the judge up there. I'm trying to say, I'm glad that the judge up there that acts as a barrier between pretender mans, like all these 150 people who were denied their claim before the court. Then I'm glad there's a man or a woman there that denies the claims. What purport to be a man. I want to see a real man. I want to see you handle denials. I want to see how you're going to stand up and act like a man.
Well, that's all that people have to realize is that you are seen to be wearing a legal cloak no different than the cloak the judge is wearing when you're in that courtroom until you take it off and say, no, I'm not wearing a legal cloak. I am just a man. There is no cloak covering up what I am.
Well, you want to just answer some questions, Dean?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, it's 11 o'clock. I've been up since 6 o'clock this morning working, so I've got a little bit life here yet.
We're going to do this again, though. We'll have you on again, and hopefully you'll have a better phone. I'm getting feedback from Karl's phone, too. There are a couple of people up have their hands up, though. Shall we take questions, gentlemen?
Oh, by all means.
All right, Karl, will you do me a favor when you're not talking? Can you mute yourself out? Because I don't want to mute you. You'll think I'm cutting you off or something.
Yeah, I'm muting myself out.
Thank you so much. But, okay, first up is guest 114. Go ahead. Did you have a question for Dean or Karl? Guest 114, I think that's Chelsea.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm a widow. I have 6 kids, but 5 of them underage, and I have in-laws that my kids visit with out of state. And about a month and a half ago, my kids a couple of them were out of state with the grandparents, and I had child protection show up at my door with all of these allegations, and I didn't know where the allegations came from, and I just went through, the 45 days of the child protection dealing with me, and they ended up closing my case the day that I got subpoenaed to go to court because my in-laws are trying to take custody from me with my kids. And so I went into court already, and I went in as a woman. I said that they stole my property, and I require the immediate restoration of my property. The judge ended up saying that he was going to take it under advisement, and that was it. The court was adjourned. They basically threw me out. I kept telling them I require the immediate restoration of my property until the bailiff came to escort me out.
When was this?
This was yesterday. So I'm sitting here, right now they have a temporary order to keep my kids, 2 of them, they had taken them across state lines, actually, from where I had agreed that they could go to the aunt's house who's asking for custody, though I'd never given permission for them to go to the state they're in or go to the aunt's house. And now they have a temporary order, and they're trying to, use every tactic in the book against me. But so I'm just wondering, so I walk out of there, and I report a crime. I'm saying, this woman stole my property, and I leave because he made me leave. But that's all. We're basically still in session.
Well, when does the temporary order expire?
As far as I knew,
probably has already.
Currently.
So what you were able to do then in the court when you were there was prevent them from being able to issue any new orders whatsoever. So it just means that they have your sons and your daughters, but they don't have any authority to actually have them at this point. I'm actually helping somebody right now in this exact same situation where the court, where Child Family Services here in Manitoba was going after an order for the custody of this guy's kid that they took more than a month and a half ago, and we shut them down. The court doing exactly what Karl and I were just talking about, what he's been talking about, what I've been talking about. The court was not able to issue a new order, and you should be able to just literally go and pick up your property, go and take it. And even you could even get the police to help you with that. These people have my son, my daughter. They have no order. They do not have a valid court order to have them. I want them right now.
Okay, so then meanwhile, before he's even given his decision, he even has that option, I don't even understand where he gets off thinking that, but he's still going to make his verdict, right? So if I go and I take my kids back.
When is he supposed to be giving his decision?
He wouldn't tell me.
That's because he's not going to.
Well, they got 6 months. It depends on how she formed it. If she formed it as a form of a notice or a motion, it depends.
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am.
I'm just not going to at all.
What did you actually put into the court? I mean, did you put a notice? What did you put in?
Let's see. Actually, I've been working with Gus, so I put some good stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Ma'am, do you physically know? Can you physically point out the man or woman that touched your property?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can. Okay. In that, did you specifically mention that there was a trespass on your property? And when you went there, did you say Susie trespassed on my property? Susie robbed me? Because if you could witness a theft, if you witnessed when somebody stole something from you, it's a robbery. If you can't, like say you left your watch on the table and you walked out of the room and there's 12 people and you came back, it's a theft. It's not a robbery. You can't actually physically point that person out, that man or woman out, and say they robbed me.
Right.
So, did you say that you were robbed of property? You said something about stolen.
Yeah, because it was a trespass. In my papers, it's trespass.
Okay, but did you say that you were robbed, or did you say it was stolen?
I said she stole them. I said that woman, Alyssa, stole them.
Okay. Like I said, this is really horrible how they play these silly word games, but it is extremely important when you're playing in their world. If you want to be in their court, in their world, in which they have jurisdiction authority, if you don't want to open up your own court, yes, you can put a notice into their court, but you've got to be deadly accurate. Like I said, all you had to basically say was, I, a woman, whatever your name is, claimed the wrong of trespass. I was robbed. See Exhibit A. That's all you have to do. You just put the lady's name. You put the lady's name down. As Susie Johnson robbed me on this day. You put it in an exhibit that she robbed you on this day. And then the next line, they could say, ma'am. Then you can say, I require this in court for the immediate return or immediate restoration of property. And you probably did that. Did you put in, if the court does not restore property forthwith, yeah, I will charge the person who maintains unlawful, illegal, or naked possession an X amount of dollars a day for every day until the property is restored. Did you put something in there like that?
Yep. Actually, the attorney got up and made fun of me for doing that.
Okay, what I'm saying, what did you literally write?
Okay. Let's see. Well, okay, and actually, this is my new one. I put in a couple of them. I made a boo-boo with the first one, so I put in some more. Okay, the first time I put in quarter record, the woman, Alyssa, continues to trespass upon property by way of theft. See Exhibit A and B. Said trespass does cause harm, injury, and loss to I. Said trespass began March 26th. I require compensation of $1 per minute per property until said property is restored. I require immediate restoration of property, I say, and will verify in open court all this to be true. Let's see. Then I did a notice of cause of action that was probably not supposed to be put in there because it gave them some jurisdiction that it shouldn't have. Like I referred to the grandparents as grandparents, and I talked about homeschool.
Yeah.
But
hello, excuse me, 1 second. Gus is saying, read what you put in today.
What? Okay. Okay, so today.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to tell them, Angela, when people start going on like that, it's called an impact statement. You could say, see Exhibit B, and Exhibit B would be an impact statement saying grandparents and this, and talk about how you feel and all this other stuff. But don't put it in the notice and don't put it in the lawsuit. Just attach it as an exhibit and make it an impact statement.
Right. That's what basically I did. It was just stating basically what's taken place. It was all the dates and things that have taken place up until this point. And then, let's see. Okay, today I put in the court of record. I, a woman, aggrieved to declare this court of record is my word pressed upon the court. Let no woman add or subtract from it. I appear before the court solely as a woman in common law, without representation, without title, respondent, pro se, mother, parent, to give notice that I am an idiot in legalese. I do not understand the customs of the legal society, nor do I believe the law exists, which requires I to understand such things. I believe this court does exist as a part of the government, which exists to secure rights and protect property. See Exhibit A. No man or woman takes claim to property of I. See Exhibits B and C. The woman, Alyssa, does, and continues to trespass upon I by way of theft. See Exhibit D. Said trespass does cause harm, injury, and loss to I. Said trespass began March 26. See Exhibit F. I require compensation of $1 per minute per property until said property be restored and notice be given this court of intent to cease and desist pursuit of my case. The man, Mark Grodom, does, and continues to trespass upon I by way of barratry. The Exhibit E. Said trespass does cause harm, injury, and loss to I. Said trespass began March 26th. I require compensation of $5,000 for initial trespass and $500 per day for continued trespass until said man does cease and desist and trespass withdrawal of appearance, or said trespass with withdrawal of appearance. I will forgive the debt of those who trespass against me, as I would wish those I trespass upon to forgive my debt. Said offer of forgiveness expires at noon, April 17th, 2015. I require this case discharged with prejudice. I shall hold liable any woman that administers said property without right. And then I've got my exhibits.
Yeah, man, like I said one time.
And then
when you put a notice into the court, or even when you make a suit or a claim, it should be 1 or 2 sentences. It should be very simple.
It's getting pretty lengthy.
Yeah, it should just be, I claim the wrong of trespass, see Exhibit A, and then all that stuff you could attach as Exhibit A. You could load up a tractor trailer, it could be your Exhibit A. But all it's supposed to say is, I've been wrong. I said, I claim the wrong of a trespass. Robbery, see Exhibit A. And that's it. And then the Exhibit A is all that stuff. All the judge wants to see is that you're making a claim that you discovered gold. And if you want to know where the gold's located, see Exhibit A. And then you can do all the geological surveys, the studies. You could do all kinds of GPS, points and notation. You could do all that nonsense in your exhibit. All the judge wants to hear is that you discovered gold. I discovered gold. See Exhibit A. And he's going to look at Exhibit and say, okay, I accept your claim. Good, go for it. It's yours.
Yeah, the same way. I'm a victim of my own smarts. I used to write incredibly long things like that, and they're less likely to read any of it when you write more.
Oh, well, it's hysterical. They'll actually read your claim into the open court, and they'll put it on a freaking record for you.
Yep.
Oh.
It was so hysterical. A Mexican lady, her husband called, well, it's a boyfriend, one of them, if he should marry her or not, because he didn't want to pay for a child who was going to be in foster care for 14 years and it wasn't his kid. So he called me up to say whether he should do the paternity test. I said, why don't you just get your property back and be done with it? And it was so funny. I put like the 2 lines in there because I knew she was Mexican. She couldn't speak to me on the phone. I said, can you teach your wife or girlfriend, can you teach her to say, I restore property, I've been robbed? Can you tell her to say that like 3 or 4 times? And that's it? And it was so hysterical, man. We put like 1 sentence, 2 sentences into the court, and the public defender would not put it in. If you listen to episode 81 on TalkShoe, and I have 127-469, Dean, you laugh. No, I'm talking to Dean. If he hears it, he'll laugh his ass off, this Mexican guy talking to me. Yeah. And he said the public defender would not, he says it's too late to put that in. And it was so funny. When she got, when the prosecutor said, the judge asked the prosecution of the state of New Mexico, what has this woman done in the last 4 months in the interim since we've had her child? And the prosecutor, and they started laughing. They said she hasn't done parenting classes, she hasn't done AA classes, she hasn't done any kind of anger management because she had charges of beating up a couple of cops when she was drunk and the baby fell out of the car seat, in a pickup truck. She hasn't complied with anything the court ordered. But you know what she did? This is what she put into the court. I, Melissa Rosa, Mendez, required immediate restoration. I've been robbed. And the judge said to the lady, she said, you've been robbed? And she said, see, I've been robbed. And the judge said, are you going to charge us like this money? He said, see, it's money, my property, give money, no property, money. And the judge said, restore her property immediately. And the prosecutor said, but Your Honor, said, you know the law, restore it now. And then the guy said to me, and serenity was restored. I said, I don't give a damn about peace, tranquility, and serenity. What happened to the damn kid? He said, serenity was restored. I said, oh, you're a Spanish guy. You didn't name your kid Luisa or Maria? No, you named her Serenity. Okay. You got your kid back? And he's like, yeah. Well, see, how simple was that?
So is this lady that's on the phone right now, Karl? Is she going back to court with a new motion, basically, for order to return property again?
It's not a motion, because a motion could be in three forms. It could be a motion that could be heard within 6 months. It could be an immediate motion, which has to be heard within 3 days. It could be an emergency immediate motion, which must be heard immediately. They must bring a magistrate forth into the court and hear the matter immediately. I don't want to make a motion. What I want to do is tell her to make a notice, a nice, simple notice, because when she makes a lawsuit, it's not considered court of record and any of this nonsense. Whatever her name is, say her name is Tina Smith, it's going to be the Smith Court at the General District Court of Nebraska, whatever it is called over there. It's going to be the Smith Court at the General District Court of Nebraska. She's going to make a claim into that court. And she's going to make a simple claim. She's going to require the restoration of property because she's been robbed, see Exhibit A. If anybody knows the location of this property, please deliver it forthwith, or who's ever holding the property unlawfully in naked possession is going to be charged the amount of $1 a minute for the next until the property is restored. That's it. That's the whole entire freaking lawsuit. That would be like a whole freaking entire notice. If you want to actually move a claim into the court, that's fine. If you just want to still play in their court because it's like, you know what, we'll put a notice into that court. You know, I'm a woman and I claim like that Maria Luisa did, whatever, down in New Mexico. We just put a little simple notice into the court. I knew she couldn't pull off a lawsuit. I knew she couldn't actually move a jury.
I think what a lot of people are running into for problems is that their paperwork is not being accepted at the courts, or they're being lied to by clerks who won't take the paperwork. The notices don't get them a hearing date. The clerk said, no, you got to file a form like this, and you got to request a hearing date. It's got to say motion on it, and what you're motioning for, and all that kind of stuff. So that's the.
Well, that's why, like I said, that's why you just do a simple. That's why you just do a simple notice, and it's just an uppercase N, and everything else is lowercase OTICE. Just a simple notice, nothing fancy. Just notice. Notice just means like I said, when I was over in England, a German guy said, Karl knows what he's talking about. He said, because when they give a ruling in courts in Germany, the judge will walk over to the window and he'll yell out to the world. He'll give the world notice that this woman, Greta, whatever, is no longer married to, Rudy, whoever, and the debts between this man and woman to no longer be bound as one. So he's calling out to the world. He's giving a notice to the world. And obviously nobody's probably really listening anymore. It's 2014. He says, but they still give notice to the world. You still shout it out to the world. When you're doing a notice, all you're doing is putting it into an open forum. You're just shouting it out to the world. When I do notice, I don't put the name of the court. I don't put the plaintiff down there. I don't put the defendant down there. It just says notice on the top. Nice little simple notice. Sticking like a bulletin board, sticking like on a street sign, or sticking it on a mail, what do they call, like a street pole?
And I would suggest if people want to, they can put two on there, and then if they're going to put people's names on there, put the actual name. Don't call him Judge so-and-so or Justice so-and-so. Put the actual name of that man acting as a judge on there to so-and-so, and is order him to return your property. I require my property now, or you're damaging me.
Yeah, like I said, the big thing is that you're going after. First, you have to, like I said, you have to say it's a robbery, because there's a big difference between. Like I said, it's sad that they play these simple, silly word games, but there's a huge difference between a theft and a robbery, because a theft means you could have just misplaced that watch. You could have just thought you left it on the table. But a robbery means that you could actually point out in a lineup a man or a woman, and you could testify in open court that that woman actually touched your property.
So it doesn't mean that I had to watch her walk away with them, but just knowing, because can I go in there now? Is it too late to say that she robbed me? Should I just said she stole?
Did you see her touch your child, your property, and walk away with it?
No, but she she's admittedly has them, or she's admittedly in possession.
No. I'm saying that's fine that she's in possession, and you're going to charge her for. You say, the person known as, or the woman known as, whatever has been, in possession of, and I'm going to hold her liable for the possession of my property. But what I'm saying is, but you don't know who actually touched the woman, not touched your property. You don't know the name of the woman who actually touched it. There's a great video on YouTube where this little Mr. Little heavy guy in England, when he's presenting the person to the court and not the man, and the judge is going nuts. So the judge tells the bailiff to get this man out of the building. So the man, as soon as the bailiff comes near him, this little guy jumps into the bailiff's face and says, "If you touch me, I do not wish to be touched, and if you touch me, I'm going to garnish your paycheck. I'm going to take your pension, and you're going to work for me for the rest of your life. Do not trespass. Do not touch me. I do not wish to be touched. I'll sue you." So the bailiff looked at the judge and said, "Judge, can this man sue me?" And the judge didn't say anything. And the bailiff yelled at the judge, "Hey, judge, I'm talking to you. If I touch this man, can he sue me?" And the judge didn't say anything. The guy just brushed the guy's suit jacket and says, "I'm sorry, sir, if I insulted you, if I caused you any harm." He said, "Have a nice day, sir." And the bailiff walked away. And the crowd went crazy in the courtroom.
Right.
Because the judge can't lie. The judge can't say, "Of course the man can't sue you. I gave you an order. Touch this man." No man can touch another man.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if somebody else orders him to do it.
Right. So like I said, it's regardless of that she was ordered to take your kid. It's I was ordered to take your child into custody. Oh, really? Who issued that order? Because I'm going to go after that clown, too. Who created that order?
I was going to say, by what authority was that order issued?
Yeah. Right. First of all, right, somebody had to issue that order. Who issued that order? Because I want to hold that man and woman liable for trespassing on my property.
I can't order Karl to go steal somebody else's car.
Yeah.
Right, and so we put that in the paperwork, too. We even, we said that we were holding the lawyer liable, her liable, the judge liable. But I repeated it in court, over and over.
Yeah, but now the big thing is they want to see if you could actually open your own court. Go ahead and open your court. Now create your court, open your court, move your court into a public venue, and have the juries, have the people from the community sit in judgment. Now, can you actually move your own court? They're like, "Okay, go ahead. We're calling you bluff. We don't think you can pull it off." Yeah, okay, it was a robbery. Yeah, it was okay, it was a theft. But you know what? Honestly, you might be 100% right. But you know what? We don't care. Now, show us what you're going to do. You're saying you're going to hold us liable? Show us. Do it. Don't just say it. Now do it. They're calling you bluff.
Just opened up another issue we'll have to talk about another day. Is actually being able to enforce any of this stuff. But okay.
Yeah, because right now, they at court they popped the question in new paperwork that they want to give them the kids that they have. They want to get them vaccinated, which I'm totally against, and they want my other ones too. So right now I'm waiting in limbo to see if they're going to get this okay.
Hey, that's a good question for you. There's two ways they take a kid into custody. Do they charge you with a crime?
No.
Okay, did you sign the paper?
They got my kids talking bad about me.
Great. It doesn't matter.
Why? So it's hearsay.
I didn't ask you that. And the other question is, did you ever sign anything?
I did sign with CPS, but I rescinded and revoked those.
Yeah. Rescinded, revoked. That don't mean anything. What did you sign? You said that you would live up to certain terms and conditions of the rejoinder of the kids, or rejoining of the kids, and then you didn't live up to it, and then they came in and took the kids.
No, they never took the kids.
They never took the kids?
No, they said that actually that they didn't have any problem with anything here, but that I was high risk, so I needed to continue services in case I ever needed help.
Okay,
so
but you signed.
I told them no about it.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure this out. So they came to you and they said, "We believe you need services because of neglect or abuse based upon the allegations," right?
Yeah, it was all, the big
and they handed you something called a safety plan, and they said, "Look, we just want you." What?
Yep. They gave us for our plan. It was to have a chore chart.
Okay. Like I said, there's only two ways that they could take your property. Any government, they could take it because that you're, it's a menace to society, like a public nuisance. They're charging you with breach of peace. with it, like bringing a bazooka into town and scaring the hell out of everybody.
Okay.
So they can say, you can't just walk around with a bazooka, it's terrifying everybody, you know what? So you're breaching the peace. So if you want to run around in your house on your property with a bazooka, go ahead, but don't do it out in the public. So that's a breach of the peace. And believe me, they'll get a jury against you and you'll lose within your community. Trust me, you'll lose. So there's either breach of the peace or you base upon an agreement. So you sign an agreement with these people. And I tell people that a million times, there's actually, like, if you look in the Alabama code, and what I found, there's only two ways in which the children can be taken. Due to a crime and a conviction, and then the child is taken, or based upon an agreement, a consent plan. So you sign a consent plan, and it says very simply in the Alabama code that if the parent wishes at any time for the immediate restoration of his child, the department is to return the child immediately with no hesitation. These consent plans and safety plans are only supposed to be offered or tendered or proposed to the parents if there's no concern or hesitancy with the immediate return. If there is concerns of the immediate return or hesitancy, pursue it as a criminal matter. So if they're not pursuing it as a criminal matter, all you have to say to the judge, I wish for the immediate return of my property. You don't have to say anything else. You don't have to say there's a theft. You don't have to say there's a robbery, because you actually signed them away by saying, look, if I don't live up to the rules and the conditions of this agreement, they may come in and take them from me if I don't live up to these terms and conditions.
Yep, I changed my mind. I want my property back now.
Yeah,
that's
it.
Hey,
Carl, this is Gus. Hey, Carl.
Hey.
Hey, man, what happened is she sent the two oldest kids over to her in-laws for a couple of weeks, and the sister-in-law, who's a school teacher, is completely in disagreement with the mom because she chooses to homeschool. And the oldest kid wants to play football, and his mom won't let him get vaccinated, so they won't let him play football. So he's complaining to the aunt, and the aunt put in paperwork seeking custody of the kids, saying they're behind in the school.
There is no such thing. This went all the way up to the Supreme Court. There is no such thing as relatives' rights. There is no such thing as grandparents' rights. It's the mom created that bundle of joy. The mom is the creator. Okay? The mom labored over that thing. Okay? It went all the way to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court ruled grandparents have no rights over another woman's property. It's that simple. So I don't care. Susie, Betty, I don't care if Jesus Christ, let me put Jesus Christ came off the cross and said something bad about this woman. I don't give a damn. It's her property. And the courts recognize that. So it doesn't matter who said what, this is all based upon a consent decree. Was she criminally charged? No. Was it based on a consent decree? She said it was. And all she has to say is, I wish for an immediate return of my property. And that's it.
Now, there's no consent decree. What happened is the cops showed up because of the court order, the temporary order awarding the aunt temporary custody. They sent the cops in for a welfare check, and the cops said that she was not allowed to go back into the house because she was out shopping. So when she came back, the cops told her she wasn't allowed into the house until CPS checked out the house. So CPS came by the next day, checked out the house, told her everything was fine, and they went away.
Okay, what I'm just trying to say is this lady said she did sign, okay? That's all I care about, is this lady said she did sign something with the CPS.
But I did, though, send email and give them a letter.
Everything else is a result of that.
Right.
I gave them a letter on the door when they came over that said that I want them to go away, and I resend all my contracts.
It doesn't matter.
I sent them a letter that was certified and said the
all
same
you
thing.
have to do is put a notice into the court saying the word notice on the top.
Okay.
I, say your name, and then all you have to say is wish for immediate return of my property. And then you put in 4 corner brackets in reference to case number 62174 because you don't want to reference their number. You just want to put in a 4 corner bracket because you didn't create that number. It's not your number. It's not your case number. It's their case number. So you put in a 4 corner bracket. Yeah, that's simple.
I'm not hearing them voting.
There's no rocket science here.
Go ahead.
Like I said, I mean, it's so. I mean, I know it's under the 660 code in Alabama. I don't have it off the top of my head. I'm walking around with a cell phone in my hand, trying to get ready to take a trip to Missouri, do a little 2-day seminar. But I know it's in the 660 code. All you have to do is in the 660 code, look for the word wish and wishes, or just wishes. And Google or like PDFs will find it in a heartbeat. The word wishes in the 660 code. So if you want to refer to it, maybe Gus has it. I could have sworn I gave Gus that passage from the 660 code.
Yeah, I don't recall if I've got it or not. I've looked for it in New Hampshire. I know we don't have that over here.
Okay, what I'm saying, not that you don't literally have to have it. I am telling you, this is how consent decrees, this is how safety plans, this is how it works. Anytime you bind yourself as man or woman to the state has to back off. Okay, they don't have a choice. This isn't like they have no voice in the matter.
At one point in time, you said, "Here, you can use my car." You gave them the authority to take the kids, and now you got to say, "Oh, you know what? I need my car back."
Right. It's that simple.
So at any time, you can say, "Oh, hey, that car I let you use? Yeah, I need that back now because I actually have to use it, and it's my car, so I need it right now."
Right. Because like I try to say to people, look, the Catholic Church provided this wonderful service for 1,000 freaking years. If a single mom didn't have a way to provide for her child, she'd dump it off at the church, and she'd leave a playing card. She'd cut it in half, a Queen of Hearts, or Ace of Spades, whatever. She'd cut it in half. And when she wanted to come back and get her property back, get her kid back, she'd walk into the church, hand the nun her cut card. The nun would go find it in a filing cabinet somewhere, see that it matched this baby at 2 days old. 12-year-old little Susie or Bobby would come out, no questions asked, and would take off with the mom. No questions asked. Not say, can you provide for the kid now? Do you have proper shelter? Do you have medical needs? Will you vaccinate this kid? No questions asked. They just turn it over immediately. And that's the way it still works to this day. Yep. You went to the government, and the government is funny. It's funny if you actually look in the Social Security Act and the Medicaid Act on the 682 and 482, it literally says the government may not make a proposal of the removal of a child from a parent. The parents must come to the government first and ask for aid. They can't knock on your door and solicit. But they do.
Yep.
So that's the whole trick. It's like, wait a second. I didn't come to you for help. You came to me and said, well, we believe that you need help. No. I don't need insurance policy. I don't need help. I don't need nothing from you. Don't sell me anything. Don't solicit.
Yeah,
but you didn't do that.
Everybody out there, you'd be surprised where this can start. The people I'm helping right now, or the individual I'm helping right now, this started because of a school guidance counselor. And as soon as the school guidance counselor got that permission from the parent, within a matter of a week, Child Family Services was involved.
Yeah.
That's all they needed was their foot in the door in some little minor way, and bam. The government comes in.
Yep, you invited them in.
You invited
them
in. This was a simple written consent form to a school guidance counselor. That's all Child Family Services needed to get their foot in the door. Bam, and it was done. So you just got to say, you know what, I made a mistake. Sorry, I actually don't want any of these services. I want my property.
Yeah, because what was funny is some lady called me. She was from Guyana, and she called me up. And the cops and the sheriff's department and social services was pounding on the door on a Wednesday, and I was able to get them to leave. Talking to her through the phone, telling her what to say. Friday they came back, I got them to leave. Saturday they came back, we got them to leave. But what was funny is Gus put this on the internet somewhere. I think it's just called Guyana Lady. I don't know if you spelled Guyana.
I've listened 1,000 times.
Okay, well, I'm just telling other people. If Dean wants to listen to it, we could actually hear how I was telling this Guyana lady. She was on public housing, had no job. She was a grandma, and she was actually able to keep the social service people and the sheriff's department outside of this public housing door, which they probably believe they have full rights to access at any time with this public Section 8 housing. And she was able to stay them outside the door for 3 days, 3 days in a row, just talking to them through the phone call from me to them. So, some of the stuff was just hysterical. He was like, we want to see the child. And I said, well, ask them if they got a cell phone. And he was like, you got a cell phone number? Yeah, okay. I said, now take a picture of the kid and text message it to him. And she did. She said, now you see the kid now, what more do you wish? And it's like, oh, we physically want to touch it. I said, well, then are you bound? Are you bonded? Are you identified? Are you sure if you drop this kid and on its head and it's a quadriplegic for the rest of his life, are you fully covered? Before you touch
are you a pedophile? Bring your child down here. I'd like to touch your child while we're at it.
Yeah, but I'm saying is like, are you bonded? It's like, and then How much are you bonded for? Because if you drop my child and it winds up at Crawford Police, you say, oopsie, you're just going to walk away, or you're going to quit social services, you're going to work at a donut shop for the rest of your life? How am I going to be compensated for a crippled child? Are you bonded? You're not just touching my property. You say it's a Ming vase. It's worth $10 million. You're not going to touch my $10 million Ming vase because, well, I want to just take a look at it and make sure it's not stolen. No. You're going to make sure you're bonded first for $10 million before you touch my Ming vase, buddy. It's like, oopsie, I dropped it. It's like, dude, I hope you're covered for this. No, I'm not. I'm just a cop. I'm just a social worker. No, they don't indemnify us for that much. Sorry. Well, my child is precious. My child is priceless. You better have a hell of a bond. You better be indemnified to a gazillion freaking dollars. But you're not touching my property.
Isn't it amazing that people that collect like antiques and stuff like that will not let somebody touch their antiques or their precious collectibles, but they don't even blink when the state wants to start touching their children, their kids.
Wait, you mean like my Elvis Presley commemorative plates?
Yeah. Yeah, don't touch the plate. But, you want to touch my child? Okay, not a problem. No. You want to touch my kid? Get your checkbook out. Leave a deposit. If you want to drive my car, leave a deposit. I require a deposit up front.
Yeah. So, but like I said, ma'am, just make it simple. Just say I wish the immediate return of my property. Just put it in the form of a notice. Sign your name, say in above, just say in the reference case number, blah, blah, blah. Like, put it in the four corner brackets so they know what case you're referring to.
Even
and
if
that's
you
it.
grant consent at one point in time, well, now you want it back.
Because all this ridiculous court of record stuff and all this other stuff, only man has the capacity to wish. The government can't wish anything. Only man has the capacity to believe and to wish.
Yep.
So you make a simple wish. And I said, people always laugh at me. It's like, okay, look under the 660 Code of Alabama. What does it say? Upon the wish of the parent, or upon the wishes of the parents, the child must be returned immediately. Wishes. Why are these legislators, why are these ministers, why are they putting the word wishes in their code? If it's such a silly word. It didn't say requests the property be returned. It didn't say requires the children be returned. It said wishes. Because only man has the capacity to wish and believe.
Your wish is their command.
Yeah, they're supposed to act upon it. It's your wish. But like I said, when you go on and on and on and on, they know you have no freaking clue. See, if the king said off with his head, right? What makes you think a king's going to go on for hours and hours and explain why this man's head should be cut off? He's not. He's going to say, off with both your heads. But why? What do you think he's going to give 500 pages of spiel of why your head should be cut off? He's like, cut everybody's freaking head off. I'm done. I'm done talking.
So I guess then that her next course of action then is the notice going to the court file and to be served on that the judge, but in his actual name as a man, letting him know that I required the return of my property. You failed to return my property. You're damaging me. I'm giving you a chance to make good and return my property. Otherwise, you're liable on this. How much it's going.
Well, the first thing I would do is just make a simple notice that says I wish to immediately return my property. And then if she doesn't get an immediate response from that, we wish to immediately return my property, then she could go on with something more detailed. Say, I believe that this court,
final notice.
I believe this court has knowledge of the location of my property. If the property is not returned within, 24 hours, I'm going to start charging $1 a day to this court.
Okay, so I already gave that notice.
No, you didn't. You just make a simple wish.
Just a wish.
Just a wish.
Okay.
It sounds silly, but like I said, that's what you have to do. I wish we need to return my property.
Okay.
And say in just right in reference to case number blah 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 blah. And say I wish to return my say I wish for the return of my property, and then attach a photograph of say Exhibit A, say see Exhibit A, and make a picture of your kid and attach it to the wish of that nice little notice. It's like a notice is just you shouting it out to the world. It's not a judicial notice, because if it's a judicial notice, you're actually directing it to the judiciary, to the judge or the magistrate, and he could deny it or grant it or whatever. No, you're just putting a notice out to the world. I wish to return my property, and you're just shouting it out the window. You're just sticking it on a board. You're just sticking it on a telephone pole, the picture of your kid, and say, I wish to return my property. And the whole world is supposed to walk by and say, oh, okay, she wishes the property back. Okay, no problem. We see it, we'll bring it back. That's our duty and obligation to our fellow man. We find it something laying around, we'll pick it up and bring it to her. They know their job. They're not stupid.
Yep.
So you just got to keep it simple.
That's not the case. You just got to stick to it.
When you ramble on, they know you're just winging it. You have no understanding of what it means to be a man or a king. You have no understanding. You're rambling on. You're going to be a fool. A king knows how to command in 2-3 words and be done. Next case.
The other thing is that is the reason why Karl's saying to use simple sentences and you repeat them is you have to say the same thing word for word. If you add a word or leave a word out, the second time you say it, that's a whole new sentence.
All right.
It's a whole new notice. It's a whole new claim. So
wow.
It's full novation.
So it's not the second time you said it. That's the first time you said a whole new sentence.
Oh my goodness.
A word or it had a word added.
Wow.
That's why I tell people, if you do more than 8 words, 15 words, and you have to repeat that in court 3 times, you're going to mess up.
Yep.
Wow.
So keep that in mind.
Like I said with my sister, she just kept saying, "I, Karen, gonna, lie my case before the court. I now present my case to the court," and that was it. And that's all she had to do.
So a lot of times people say, "Well, I said the same thing over and over again 10 times," but then it turns out they said the same thing kind of, but 10 different ways.
Well, the judge will trick you and say,
that's 10 different statements altogether.
Or the judge will trick you and say, "Well, you require counsel because this is going to be very difficult. This divorce might go on for months." But you just said the same damn thing.
Right.
And the judge, we'll provide you counsel if you can't provide counsel your own. She said the same damn thing 3 times, and the judge said, "Duly noted."
Because once might have been a mistake, the second time might have been a coincidence, but the third time was a pattern. She meant it.
Oh, yeah. She's like, "I'm not here to play games. I'm not here to mix words. I'm here to state my claim, and nobody's going to deviate me from my mission. I got a mission. I got a goal, and nobody's going to, persuade me or trick me or con me in any deviation of my goal whatsoever. It's going to happen."
Yep, so careful with that when you guys are repeating things. You think you said it for the third time, you didn't, because you said a different sentence if you changed even one word.
Yeah, that's serious. Okay,
because the big word that the attorneys will use to really mess you up, they'll say, "Well, let's be reasonable about this." And then they'll try to say, "Did you mean to say this?" Instead of saying property, let's be reasonable about this. Lincoln freed the slaves. You mean children? You don't really mean property, do you? Come on, let's be reasonable about this. They're not really your property. They're not slaves.
Don't
slaves
even
and
ask
property.
for that. Just repeat the same sentence over again.
They're going to try to trick you by saying, "Let's be reasonable about this."
We're in the corrupt hitting courts in Minnesota, so, that's part of it, too. I don't know if you've heard about them, but people in Hawaii have. Yeah.
Because, like I said, too, because when property means you have the exclusive right to use and enjoy it, exclusive to all that's within the society. And it's that simple. So, like I said, when my kid was taken back in 2001, and they said to me, if you don't sign this paperwork, you're never going to see your child again. I said, "Are you talking about my property?" And the ladies freaked out. One was a black lady, one was a white lady. Freaked out. It's like, "Property? You just call them property?" I said, "Oh, yeah, you're damn right I did. Watch this. Hey, woman, at the end of the table, mother of the kid, you my property?" She said, "You're damn right I am." The women freaked out. I said, "What's your problem, ma'am? What's your problem, lady? Watch this. Hey, woman, what? Am I your property?" She said, "You're damn right you are." I said, "There you go." And guess what? That bundle of joy, my son, on the other side of that window, I'm his property. Only he gets to call me dad. There's no child on planet Earth, there's no boy on planet Earth to this day, to this time, that has the right to call me dad. He could even use and enjoy me as dad. I have a duty and obligation to serve and perform a function for him, exclusive to him. I don't have to do it for anybody else with this society. Believe me, I am his property. He is my property. She's my property. I'm her property. And that boy also could claim that woman is his property, his mom. Yeah. Nobody else may call her mom. Property is a wonderful, beautiful word. But in the Communist Manifesto, plank number 1, there must be removal of all property from man.
Yep.
Go look it up.
And this can be confirmed as well because just so everybody knows that about 8 months into my incarceration, they're actually a little bit more than that. This was just last in August, turning September of 2014. I was claimed as property by somebody at my own pretrial. Someone showed up and claimed me as their property at my pretrial. And they ended the day really abruptly when that happened.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was taken back to Brandon Correctional Center, but I wasn't put in chains. And the computer, the court computer showed me as not being in custody for the next 5 days, and I was taken back to court.
Yeah, it was funny. Somebody was asking me about that. Yeah, because I actually got some man out of jail in Indiana because of that. And his mom went to I actually went there to the sheriff's department with the mom. And I said, that man that you have in custody is her property. And she requires of this, your facility, to release her property to her immediately because she had a farm. She requires her property to perform a function on her farm. And without that property to be available to her, you're going to cause her harm, injury, and loss. She requires the property that you're holding in your custody to be turned immediately. And they did.
Which is essentially.
So, like I said, somebody tried that trick with you. Like, usually it's good to bring a brother or a mom or somebody to go in there and claim you as property to say that you require.
Yeah.
It's like a
They brought me back 5 days later, though, and then while I was in day 2 of my pretrial, they issued a new warrant for my arrest at a whole different court in a different city on the same day and took me back into custody, even though I was.
Right. Well, like I said too, it's funny. I did a trick for some kid who was throwing rocks through a bank window. He's one of these anarchist kids. Well, he's 37 years old. Throwing rocks through a bank window.
They're not going to play fair, people. They're just going to keep doing this kind of stuff, and you just got to keep saying the same thing over and over again. No.
Well, like I said, when this 37-year-old man was throwing rocks through a bank window from across the street at 2 o'clock in the morning, he was arrested. So he said to me, how do I get out of this? I said, it's simple. I said, I know the bank was indemnified to an insurance company. The insurance company paid for the windows that you broke, so obviously the bank's not going to make the claim that you owe them any money because they'll be double-dipping from the insurance company. I said, so just say to the state of North Carolina when they bring you into the court, so I'm here to compensate the plaintiff. Who is the plaintiff? They said, obviously it's not the state of North Carolina because I broke the Bank of America's windows. Is the Bank of America have a representative of the Bank of America going to appear at court today and claim I owe it a debt because I'm ready to pay any debt to Bank of America? Or has anybody within society made an affidavit that I disturbed the peace at 2 o'clock in the morning? Is there any affidavit from pay the debt to society? Is that man or woman going to appear? And they said, well, no. They said, well, then obviously you don't have a case against me, and I wish to have this case, discharged in the society. So they had to discharge it. But what was funny, what the judge did to him, the judge said, fine, case discharged. And the guy smiled, and he said, contempt of court, 30 days for smiling. So even though he got out of the charges, the judge still was going to nail this guy for 30 days regardless, because 30 days was the sentence for throwing rocks through a window.
Yep, just because. So
like I said, you got to be real careful. Because, like I said, you can even smile, and you got away with it, and you got a dismissal. But like Dean just said, yeah, I got out of this, and guess what? Now they throw this on me. So I start to go this way, and they bring me right back this way. You can't beat these bastards. So don't play their game.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, actually, Vic can't even speak on the call here. He got disconnected.
It's just about midnight where I am, and I got to get going. But I told her I was going to come back because I was late getting home from work today. I'm still getting caught up after 16 months being in the clink and trying to get my affairs back in order here. But Karl, I think you and I are going to chat sometime soon here as well. And then I'm going to try to maybe get back on next week onto the show here and get on a little earlier and possibly have some better updates by then when I can get some more of my stuff together here. So I'm going to say goodnight to everybody. I think she's going to try to get back on the call right now, and I got to get to sleep because I got to get up again at 6 o'clock in the morning, put another full day in here. So.
All righty. Good luck to you, man.
So, yeah, well, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and we actually have a couple of mutual friends and whatnot there, so we'll have to chat about that another time here. But unfortunately, I didn't have a whole lot to say to everybody here tonight, but all I can do is tell everybody that everything Karl's saying is absolutely correct and it's true, and I've seen it work any number of times now. And if you want to be your own worst enemy, do what I do and get into arguments with them because you know that you're smart.
Oh, boy.
There she is.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay,
Thank you.
so everybody have a good night, and I'm going to try to get back on next week here and actually show up on time and get off work a little bit earlier. So, all right, everybody have a good night.
Stay safe.
All right, bye-bye.
Well, how would you make a judge move then?
Huh?
So how would you make the judge move if he's just sitting there after
You
you've
just
already
make-
told him, you
like
know,
I
give him
said,
your property?
Like I said, ma'am, when you start running on and on and on, they know you have no clue. You've got to make
Right.
one-sentence notices. You know, you put in about 8 different notices under one notice.
Yeah.
You can make 8 separate notices. That's fine. But you just was running on and on and on. This one's a trespass. This one's a debt due. This one is, you know, a robbery, a theft.
I'm back. Jesus, I got kicked off. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm back.
Well,
Carl. Go ahead.
Dean left too, and I'm shot too. I'm going to get like 2 hours sleep.
Yeah,
so
Dean has to go.
Yeah, I got to drive 12 hours to Missouri.
I know. Let's call it a night, guys, and we'll pick this up on your call on Saturday. How's that?
I'm doing a show on Saturday and Sunday, but Gus could run the show on Saturday.
Oh, that's right. Well, okay. Yeah,
Gus
that's
could.
right. Well, let's do it again soon, whenever that may be.
How long is this show?
3 hours and 40 minutes.
Holy cow.
I know. You came on, let's see, Dean came on at 1 hour and 32 minutes into the call. So, anyway, and I got to go, too, because my son's going to be alone in a minute here, so. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you, Carl. I appreciate you filling in for the first hour and 30 minutes and so on and participating in the call. It was a really good call. This is one of those calls that will be downloaded a million times. I just know it. And I'm sorry, KMA Club Dean didn't get to ask his question. Or he wanted to make a comment about, Title 18 or something. Maybe we'll do it next time. I got to go. So you have a good, safe trip, Carl.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
And
I never met this man. It's going to be interesting. His name is like, when he calls you up on the phone, it's like Constellation Enterprise or Constellation Endeavor. It's like, holy cow.
Wow.
You know, his name is TRAI.
Trey.
So, I don't know if it's going to be like a Gia lady, you know, that Kate of Gia or whatever. It's like, holy cow. I said, what did I get myself into?
Oh, well, let us know, will you?
Call with him for 12 hours. So it's going to be an interesting ride because he has some real interesting beliefs.
Oh, well, that should be interesting. You got a tape recorder with you?
Yeah, but I'm going to make believe I'm asleep over, let him drive, and I'm going to make believe I'm sleeping for 12 hours. So I got to talk to him.
All right, well, have a good weekend and a good week ahead, and stay safe, and we'll talk to you again soon, okay?
All right. God willing.
All right, thank you. Good night, everybody. I love you. Take care of each other. We'll see you on the next one. Good night.
Good night.